but allegedly the CEO of Shakhtar has been speaking. Why Mudryk joined Chelsea and not Arsenal? As we know, Chelsea poached Mudryk from under the noses of Premier League leaders and London rivals Arsenal over the weekend. At 100 million euros in brackets, 88.7 million pounds and 108.2 million dollars. The deal is a record for a Ukrainian player and for Shakhtar the next who sold him. I mean, Mudryk, shout out to you, but I hope you end up like Shevchenko at Chelsea. Simple as that. Here's how the Shakhtar chief executive Sergei Pulkin tells the Athletics' Adam Crafton in bullet points how Arsenal made the first contact with the player in October or November last year, a month before their interest was formalised with Shakhtar, that the two clubs offered the same amount for Mudryk, but the add-ons built into Chelsea's bid were more achievable and realistic, while Shakhtar suspected a sale might get pushed back until the summer, until Chelsea's interest crystallised last week. And we've kind of been over several of these things. At some point, Arsenal had to be able to walk away and have contingency plans. At some point, Shakhtar have to say not sometimes no deal is better than a deal, and they would hold on to him to the summer and either risk his price fluctuating or not. In hindsight, the bid was probably never as close as some of us were led to believe by these journalists. Maybe Chelsea played a game of poker. They took a backseat, let Arsenal kind of deal with Shakhtar. Let us see exactly what Shakhtar want, and then they've come in and said, we're Arsenal and acting up. We'll look after you people, really and truly. Probably will hijack it, mate. But until then, it is what it is. Keep your opinions coming. I'll circle back, people. So, yeah, we've heard money's been invested into the Ukraine-Russia war. We've heard Chelsea are asking to play a friendly with Shakhtar. But allegedly, a lot of supporters of Premier League clubs are fascinated by this transfer. It looked like Mudryk would go to Arsenal, but then in the space of 24 hours, he joined Chelsea. Smash the like button, people. Subscribe if you haven't. Keep your opinions coming. When did you realize Chelsea would be the destination? I realized 2 days ago, in brackets Saturday, when Chelsea arrived here with the co-owner and director of global of talent and transfers. They came to Antalya in Turkey. Obviously, that's where Shakhtar are stationed. Before Chelsea arrived, I did not know they were close because I communicated with Arsenal in the same way as I had with Chelsea. Even I can tell you more. I met Arsenal more times than Chelsea. Therefore, before this last meeting, Arsenal was close or a little bit closer to this deal than Chelsea. Nothing's done until it's done. Until you've dotted I's and crossed T's, especially in a world of business, nothing is done then. We've hijacked deals. Chelsea have hijacked deals. These things happen. How many times did you meet Arsenal? If you don't count telephone conversations, it was 3 times. So if we met 3 times, Chelsea's met less, then it's all about the impact of the conversation. From our conversations with sources close to the deal, the impression I have is that Arsenal were confident. Whenever Arsenal are confident, just like with these Declan Rice things, it makes me think, oof. Arsenal were confident that you would have found a compromise with them. And we have even seen the player himself on social media watching Arsenal matches. What, in your view, changed things? Was it the willingness of Chelsea to fly to Turkey and meet the figure? From my point of view, this is why everybody talked about Arsenal. It is because Arsenal contacted the player almost 1.5 months before they contacted us. That happens in football. Chelsea do it, Arsenal do it, United do it. Every flipping Premier League team does that in relation to transfers at this level and at youth level. You reach out to his advisors, or if you know his mum, his dad, any sort of contact, engage. Do you want to sign for Arsenal? How much would you be interested in joining to Arsenal? And then from there, clubs will do what they're doing. So that's nothing new in football. And he said, can you imagine, for example, to have the head coach, Mikel Arteta, Zinchenko, and the sporting director calling you, to have Arsenal calling you almost every day, every 2 days, every 3 days. You can want or not want the move, but you follow this kind of reception and contact. If you talk about Chelsea, they called me at the end of December and asked if they can contact Mudryk because they are interested in him and want to talk with him. I said, no problem, you can contact him. The first time they contacted him was around the end of December or the start of January. They contacted the player and the agent of the player, and they met the financial conditions. Therefore, why did many people around it have the impression that Mudryk was going to Arsenal? Is because Arsenal contacted him, and then Mudryk started to watch some games of Arsenal. But negotiations are negotiations, and he then started doing chattings. When you didn't close everything, when you did not close the last dot, then you cannot finish the deal. Therefore, it was just an outsized visual impression that Mudryk to Arsenal is close. And for the David Ornsteins, for the Ben Jacobs, for the Con Marble Halls, for the AFC Camdens, they're not catching anyone out. And all these other journalists, essentially, it's guess what? Nobody knows. Unless you're part of this love triangle with the Chelsea executives, the Arsenal or Shakhtar or Mudryk people, you don't actually know. Were any other clubs close to the deal? There were some contacts, but not serious. It was just 2 clubs. Zaha is a winner with the right passion. Hear that right now, Palace are struggling and staying up is worth more than selling him. He'll leave as a Palace legend. I hear that. Zinchenko is the best Ukrainian in the league. I hear that. I hear that. Interesting comments, man. Arsenal should get business done as soon as possible. I'm sure in an ideal world, they would love to, man. They would love to. Still loving the vibes from beating the scum in their own backyard. Amen. I know we walked away, but it makes Edu look bad. But then again, Edu doesn't win. You spend bare peas on this guy and the expectation, and he doesn't score a million goals a game. Fans are going to have something to say, really. But it does leave Arteta short-handed. As we've said, Arteta's job in this is just to talk to Mudryk and see his willingness, which it looked like he would. For Edu and his advisors, I'm not saying they're right, I'm not saying they're wrong, but fundamentally the deal hasn't happened. That's all I care about. The deal ain't happened. What are we doing now? Because Arteta has spoken about maximizing the window, about the need for bodies, about the need for depth. When we was walking into January, we heard Kroenke this, or Edu that, league title this. We're trying to sign a couple. Things are easier said than done. But we'll have to see. So it comes down to Edu's, how good at negotiating is Edu? What is his contact list look like? And what can he, what miracle can he perform before the window shuts? Did you ask Arsenal whether it was right for them to contact the player before they spoke to the club? Normally, clubs can make a complaint when that happens, and only when you take it too far. But that happens in football. Like literally, we've done that with a few young players that we've signed. Clubs have done that with a few young players we've left. I'm telling you that for fact. When I met Arsenal and they mentioned they had already, and that could even be happening right now with a certain player. When I met Arsenal and they mentioned that they had already talked to the player and they had contacted the player, to be honest, I knew beforehand that they had started to contact him. I said, okay, you start to contact him, but first of all, you should close it with us. But okay, we have what we have. And that's true. You can chat to him, but you've got and we've said this before, Mudryk can talk about, can put all the social medias he wants. All the journalists can say what they want. Arsenal can say what they want. If you have not agreed to sign the player, he is ultimately not your player. They didn't make a complaint to FIFA. And, they'll probably have a good relationship with Chelsea. Our understanding is that in the final offers from the two clubs, the total figures were basically the same, but the difference was the speed of payments. Is that correct? Overall, it was the same, not approximately the same. It was the same figure. So it's not the same. The fixed part, variable part, bonuses. But if you look inside the fixed part and bonuses, it was completely different. Clearly, Chelsea's were more attractive and more attainable than ours. And then he was asked on in what way. He said different time schedule of payments, different kind of bonuses. Yes, we can talk about bonuses, but these bonuses should be somehow achievable and realistic. So maybe Arsenal's weren't. Therefore, in this case, Chelsea was much more serious and fair in some points. When we met Chelsea, we all stayed together. For you to understand the context, it was for 9 or 10 hours. They invited the player and explained to us the whole project. We realized that, yes, if you look right now, Chelsea have some kind of problems, but it's normal because they have a transitional period from one owner to another. It's understandable. They would like to change a lot. So when they explain to you the whole story and you look for the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years, then you have a serious project. I believe they'll build one of the best teams in the world. I mean, if Chelsea are not trying to do that, why would they stop what you're doing in it? Because I'm telling you, they are very serious in all directions, sports science, the stadium side, the commercial side, on all things. For us, they look very ambitious. Our information is that the Chelsea deal includes add-ons if they win the Premier League or Champions League. Is that accurate? Of course it is. There is no clause in the Chelsea contract relating to the Ballon d'Or. Apparently there's no deadline. Again, he has an 8-year contract or 7.5 with an option of another year. Did Mudryk ever say to you, let me leave in January, or would he have waited until the summer? And I mean, if again, it wasn't Chelsea or bust for Mudryk. Arsenal became the thing, but he was linked with a bunch of clubs and he did say, I want to leave. So there was clearly more willingness or encouragement from Mudryk or his advisors to get this deal done. I don't expect him to do it, because if Arsenal don't agree with Shakhtar, they were prepared to wait for him until the end of the season, and then you're missing out on your next career step. But if he, for argument's sake, said, Chelsea, I'm not interested in any way, shape or form. Chelsea, no matter how much bread they're putting down, it's a myth. So there was evidently more encouragement than initially led to believe. We had no detailed discussions with Mudryk. He was professional. He did not push us. He did not want to meet us to ask why we had not sold him or complain he had not been sold for 50, 60 million euros. We just said, we are running negotiations. We want to help you, and we believe that we'll finalize it. So just relax, train properly, and that's it. There was no pressure from his side or the agent side. Maybe you even saw his agent do an interview to say Mudryk is professional, training well, and that they respect he belongs to Shakhtar. Obviously, he's going to speak to Graham Potter people. And obviously, as I said, people, there's things written into their contract in relation to Ukraine. And he did speak about how the president, the co-owner of Chelsea was talking with one of their presidents, and he's American. They say keep football out of politics. I wish that was reserved to everyone. He said, Bear Dad supports Ukraine a lot because he's American and it's an English club. So for us, this is a positive triangle because when you say England and Ukraine, it is important for our war support at this time. I thought you could have mixed politics with football. Careful. Rashford tries to feed kids that can't afford anything, and he's told to focus on football. So it'd be lovely if everything, not interchangeable, but if this was extended to everything. They spoke very well and shook hands. I know because I translated it. I like the conversation very much, and I believe that it does not matter if it's in the contract or not. It was Bedad who proposed the friendly because he wanted to help Ukraine, to help Ukrainian refugees and support Ukrainian people. For us, this match in the Nets would be like a miracle. Obviously, there's some financial things as well. We offered 50k to Mudryk. We were asking to get hijacked. No, I think that's a very fair offer. Not gonna lie, I feel like we missed out on Mudryk because I genuinely think he'll be a top player. He could be a bit. He could be that, man. He could be that. Let him do his thing. But with us, it's irrelevant. Things go on, man. Are you going to sign Rafinha and Rice in January? I don't work for Arsenal, probably not, man. Don't know. This is the main reason they sold it to Chelsea. They made it political. Tired of all these rumors. Can we sign someone already? Those chapter talks just remind me that until the club has given a shirt number on their website, it's just tabloid talk. And it's true. It's completely different. Remember when we signed Aaron Ramsey? Man United actually agreed a deal. He was posted on their site, and then we got involved. So these things happen. Makes me wish where Arsene Wenger was back, man. That's when we, all the players would say, "Oh yeah, Wenger came to my house and he started talking to me." Does Lokonga have a future at Arsenal, in your opinion? Well, I mean, if he doesn't improve significantly, it's looking brazy, isn't it? So yeah, man. Scrolling all the way down, well, again, more money is going to relevant parties in Ukraine. From the wider reporting, it appeared that Arsenal made a final offer on Thursday or Friday. Did you speak to Arsenal to tell them it was all done with Chelsea? Before Chelsea arrived in Turkey, we almost agreed with Arsenal that there was no chance to close the deal. So again, we would have been left short-handed if Chelsea weren't involved anyways. When they proposed the final offer, and maybe in hindsight, all this talk about Chelsea unable to hijack it and we're the front runners. Maybe it was a game. Maybe Shakhtar was playing Arsenal, really. So we'll never know. When they proposed the final offer of 70 million euros plus 30 million euros in add-ons, we sat down and started to talk internally about how it would be fulfilled in terms of payments. The fixed part and the bonuses issue, we realized we will not close this deal with Arsenal. I said to Edu that I did my best, but it was not possible. Was there a relief when Chelsea came? When Chelsea arrived, they just called and said, okay, we know you negotiated with Arsenal. We know you're close with some kind of figures. We want to meet. I said, okay, let's meet. I told Mudryk, if I do not sell you in the winter, we'll definitely sell you in the summer. Maybe you will cost even more in the summertime. We were ready to accept different scenarios. We would not be rushed. Again, because you control the power. He then said, so while meeting Chelsea, did you need to keep a poker face to say Arsenal are still involved? But this is football world. This football world is quite close. I know for sure that everybody knows what is going on. From the Arsenal side, Chelsea side, these kind of negotiations involve a lot of people. A lot of journalists are around it too. A lot of guys who can provide some kind of info. So everyone knows what's going on. So yeah, man, and then I don't really care for it, but he's talking about what it means for Ukrainian football. Big up Ukraine and that, but it's for Chelsea, I don't give a flying monkeys, really. Away from that, though, apparently Arsenal plot move for West Ham captain Declan Rice as confidence of summer deal grows. I mean, anytime I see this confidence thing, I get shook. But Arsenal are planning a summer move for West Ham midfielder Declan Rice and are growing in confidence that a deal can be done. Rice's contract expires in the summer of 2024, and the 24-year-old has so far rejected 3 offers to extend his stay in East London. Chelsea, Manchester City, and Manchester United have all previously registered an interest in the midfielder, with Chelsea initially exploring a potential transfer in the summer of 2020. Again, apparently Arsenal are now increasingly current Premier League leaders, Arsenal are now increasingly optimistic of beating their Premier League rivals to the 80 million rated England international. He is keen to compete for trophies and play in the Champions League. And in the December around the World Cup, he did say 100%, I want to play in the Champions League. For the last 2 or 3 years, I've been saying that I've been playing consistently well for my club, and I feel like I really want to keep pushing. I see my friends here who are playing Champions League and for big trophies. West Ham would not entertain a departure this month, but have conceded internally they will have to sell him this summer. Rice's contract contains a 1-year option, but London Stadium Chiefs believe this summer is their last chance to earn a sizable fee for the midfielder. I mean, you could spend that. I mean, I'm not really convinced on Declan Rice as a 6th grade. So you spend 60, 70, 80 on that. I hope we bring in another 8. You still need to address up front. Probably still need to bring in a wide man. And I'd imagine in the summer, Arteta gets a defender as well. So, are we going to raise some funds via outgoings? Are we going to get a war chest? how, you know, Declan Rice is not going to come cheap. And as we've seen with João Felix, with Mudryk, with Vlahovic, with Locatelli, with Douglas Luiz, with Pedro Neto, with Rafinha, when it's these high profile ones, it comes down to, are you going to put the bread down or not? If you're not, cool, find a replacement. So yeah, man. Again, people, again, the same sort of articles are coming out. West Ham resigned to losing Arsenal target Declan Rice, but will demand over 100 million. I like Declan Rice, and I think at 24, there's scope to grow. Premier League proven, English, good player technically. You know, makes me a lot comfortable if Partey's not there. We do need to address midfield. I don't, as much as I love what Xhaka and Partey and then they bring, they're not going to be here forever. We've got longevity in defense and in attack, not quite in the midfield. The one player we do is Lokonga, and we don't know what he's on. Yes, you've got Odegaard, Zinchenko, Smith Rowe, Fabio Vieira, who can play as eights, and they're all doing other things. So yeah, we all know apparently the England international has rejected several offers of a new deal, people, that would have made him the best player at the London Stadium. West Ham have privately accepted they'll have to sell at the end of the campaign, or else missing out on a major windfall on a player who joined their academy as a 14-year-old after being released by Chelsea. Player that I knew at 14, funny enough, actually, because he used to play with a couple of guys, he used to play for my team in the younger years. So it is what it is. Apparently, Chelsea got money to buy everyone. And again, allegedly, Chelsea, previously seen as favourites, have cooled their interest as they focus on Enzo Fernandez and Brighton's Moses Caicedo. Chelsea have shown they'll buy anyone. Manchester United's need for a holding midfielder has lessened following the signing of Casemiro. I mean, they could still do with him, though. And obviously, Man City have Calvin Phillips and Rodri. But maybe if they say, you know what, Calvin Phillips on loan some money, or Calvin Phillips permanently, Rice could go and do that. We'll have to see, man. It's not that I don't believe it. It's I need to see it. Only 3 players have made 40-plus tackles and been dribbled past fewer than 10 times in the Premier League. That's Onana of Everton, Declan Rice of West Ham, and Moses Caicedo of Brighton. They could all be, well, 2 of them could be at Chelsea one day. So it is what it is, people. He's going to cost a lot of money, man. Arsenal make him, you know, their priority target. We'll have to see. And it's not that I doubt it, but I mean, we've just lost out on Mudryk. Now this news about a household name is coming out. I'm not doubting the credibility, but the timing makes me feel a bit, has this just been put out to kind of keep Arsenal fans sweet? Arsenal have made Declan Rice their top summer target and are growing in confidence that deal can be done. Could be as confident as we want, as we was allegedly with Mudryk, people, where it has to happen. Allegedly, people, Arsenal have made initial contact with Bayern Leverkusen over Moussa Diaby. Club reluctant to sell mid-season. Everyone's reluctant to sell everybody mid-season, people. So we'll have to see. Finally, on Declan Rice, before we continue, people, keep smashing the like button. Keep your opinions coming. Romano said, I'm told that nothing will be decided now for Rice, also because the player is not leaving in January as things stand. But for sure, Arsenal have an interest, as has been reported, and they discussed Declan internally. He's appreciated by many clubs, including Chelsea. But again, it will take time to see where Declan will go. No discussions have taken place on the player's side yet. And as you know, while they have an option to extend his deal, he is contracted until 2024. And I don't think there won't be I don't think a single top 6 side will not be interested to at least see if there's a feasibility in bringing the England international to their place. So we'll have to see exactly how that one there develops, people. And again, once again, Gary Jacobs has said Arsenal have made Declan Rice their top target this summer and are growing in confidence they can beat Chelsea to his signature. Bayern Leverkusen forward Moussa Diaby is a topic at Arsenal. The 23-year-old Frenchman is still under contract with the Bundesliga side until 2025, so it should be an expensive deal. And because he's someone that a lot of people want, they rejected over 50 million from Newcastle. We all know Arsenal are desperate for an attacker. And I'm not really convinced on Diaby, I'll be real. I like him. I think he's a very talented lad. I think if Arteta's convinced on his talent ID and he can make him play to a higher level consistently, I'm all for it. There's a lot to like, but yeah, I'm not 100% convinced. I'm like 90% convinced. And it's the 10% I'm a bit more concerned about. Going back to Declan Rice, as you know, part of the reason Arsenal were unwilling, well, just in general, part of the reason Arsenal were unwilling to match Chelsea's bid for Mudryk in this transfer window is because they knew that paying over the odds for a player would have an impact on their summer spending plans. The Arsenal executives have long preferred to do business in the summer window, believing it to be a better time to find value for money and embed players into Mikel Arteta's system. That's right. That's great. And I'm sure every club agrees with that. You think Chelsea want to be doing what they're doing in the market at this current moment in time? January's reactive, injuries, players leaving, all of these things shift the dynamics. Had we have brought a centre mid or a winger in, probably wouldn't do any business this Jan. Or I think we'd probably just go for a centre back. So who knows, people? Arsenal are interested in signing Moussa Diaby after missing out on Mudryk to Chelsea. Let's see, people. He's got 2.5 years left on his deal. Arsenal reportedly interested in signing Bayern Leverkusen winger Moussa Diaby as Mikel Arteta looks to bolster his squad ahead of his side's title push. The Gunners have been linked with Diaby in the past and could swoop for the Frenchman as they look to move on from the disappointment of losing their top target, Mudryk, to Chelsea. Again, the highly rated Shakhtar, the next forward that looked destined for North London, but the Blues swooped in and completed an £88.6 million deal. Smash the like button, people, with the 22-year-old penning an 8.5-year contract. Having been frustrated by Mudryk snubbing the Gunners, Arteta has turned his attention to Diaby, according to Sky Germany. He can play on either flank, people. He's been in the Bundesliga since 2019. He has 43 goals and 41 assists across 146 appearances. He has 8 caps for France, people. He's contracted until 2025. And it said here, which will only increase the fee, and it's mid-season. Apparently, Barcelona have slapped a 100 million price tag on Raphinha, which makes that a myth, people. Apparently, Laporte was willing to negotiate a transfer package for Raphinha, who only joined in July. Myth. Leave that one alone. Further confirmation of allegedly going for the Diaby, people. I think Fernando Torres has been speaking as well. This was someone that it feels like everything's going full circle. Arsenal in transfer talks with Orlando City's Fernando Torres. Scrolling down to what the man himself said, people. Orlando City confirmed to me that there was contact with Arsenal, but then I left for the World Cup and I didn't want to hear about a potential transfer at that point. So the conversation stayed there. But now that I'm back with the team, we'll see where the conversation goes. I'd love to play in Europe. It's a dream I've had since I was a kid. At the moment, I am focused on Orlando City, but La Liga or the Premier League would be my targets. And that's where the rumors are coming from. But yeah, I would absolutely love that, people. Apparently, he emerged as a standout star throughout the 2022 season, which saw him lead Orlando City to the US Open title. He signed with the club from Penarol last January for a club record fee, and it didn't take him long for him to adjust to MLS, as he has 9 goals and 10 assists in 33 appearances, people. So we'll have to see, people. MLS clubs are just beginning pre-season, with Orlando set to open their campaign on February the 25th. Obviously, he's had a World Cup, which he hasn't played in, but what's his physical conditioning if we signed him then? I think this just echoes the exact same thing. We've seen this report already, people, but Arsenal contact Barcelona over Raphinha and Ferran Torres. Arsenal have made contact with Barcelona to explore deals for Raphinha and Ferran Torres. 90 Minutes understands. The Gunners had been keen to sign a winger since the summer when they initially failed with a bid to persuade Raphinha to stay in England. The Brazilian left Leeds United for Barca, also rejecting Chelsea in the process. We all know it didn't work out with Mudryk. With the pursuit of Mudryk slowing down over the past week, sources have confirmed to 90 Minute, where anyone can just type sources, have confirmed to 90 Minute that Arsenal director Edu reached out to Barcelona as part of his search for alternatives. Both Raphinha and Torres were discussed, with Arsenal understood to have held exploratory talks over a number of possible alternatives to Mudryk. Now, with their top targets heading elsewhere, Arsenal are prepared to step up their interest in other targets to finally address their limited depth in wide areas. This article then went on to say, people, Barcelona are known to be keen to trim their wage budget to allow them to make further signings, and Arsenal have inquired about as to whether either Raphinha or Torres could be available before the end of the January transfer window. 90 Minute understands Arsenal have also explored a possible move for Leandro Trossard, who has demanded an exit from the club this month and is seen as a more attainable target than Mitoma, who is also of interest to the Gunners, and we've seen firsthand what he's on. Meanwhile, Arsenal are also among the sides to be monitoring Napoli sensation. Sorry, where's the all coming part? Kvaratskhelia, I can't say his name, KK, who has been made, no disrespect, who has been made unavailable for transfer and is likely to cost in excess of 100 million if he ever does leave Naples. I mean, I think they'd easily get over 100 million. And if I'd pay 100 million for him. 100 million for him, and what if West Ham want 80 million for Declan Rice? 180 on 2 players, which is about quality over quantity. They both boost the side, but maybe there's some negotiations. Where Raphinha is concerned, 1 minute he wants to stay at Barcelona, then he's open to leaving, then Laporte wants to get rid, then he don't, then Xavi's convinced, then he's not. Who knows, people? Really and truly, nobody. In that regards, people. Arsenal know they need and want to recruit this month. Felix was an opportunity and they were planning for Mudryk. Got neither. They haven't been pursuing alternatives nor other deals on the back burner, but it doesn't mean they can't explore new opportunities. That's true, David Orn's team, but I think the Mudryk thing has shown that some obviously have sources, but it's essentially guesswork. Again, whether we sign someone or not's another thing. But do we really think, with all the money that's being spent and all these individuals, whether you think they're competent at their jobs or not, you really think they weren't pursuing alternatives or there's not things in the back burners? Whether them back burners come to the front is another thing, people. So I'm not too sure I necessarily agree with that. We've been linked with Fresnadar people who are, Arsenal have been joined by Manchester United as well as Newcastle United in the pursuit of his signature. Apparently, people, the Napoli forward dubbed Caradonna, a one-to-way Brighton star, and a Barcelona player who only moved to Spain last year. 5 wingers Arsenal could go for after missing out on top target Madrid. Let's humour ourselves and see what's going on. You don't even look happy, lad. Pussy. There's Rafinha, people, 100 million. Forget about that. Leandro Trossard seems fairly attainable. It might not be the favourite, but it could be something that you could do, people. According to his agent, he wants a move. And they've had a falling out in relation to Trossard and the gaffer, criticising the player's attitude and work rate since returning from the World Cup with Belgium. Attitude and work rate central to Mikel Arteta's system. That wouldn't make me happy. Arsenal said to be interested in profiting from his desires to leave, but will face stiff competition from London rivals Tottenham and Chelsea. Spurs have made a verbal offer in the region of 12 million, according to The Athletic, while Chelsea could be set to raid Brighton again. As you know, Trossard's contract expires at the end of the season, though the Seagulls are understood to have an option to extend his contract by 12 months. We just spoke about Moussa Diaby, people. It's going to cost a lot of money. He's valued at 75 million, which is probably more attainable. Rafa Leao's contract's running down. He said he does like watching Arsenal. He is doing all right. Bit of Serie A tax, but bring the 23-year-old. He's wavy, really, but probably going to occupy that left-hand side, people. Apparently, his current deal at the San Siro runs until 2024, and apparently he has slammed fake news claiming earlier this month, which suggested he is demanding 8.5 million a year to stay in Milan. They just convinced former Arsenal player, and some would probably want him back, people, Benassia, to sign a new deal. So we have to see. We've been linked with the Napoli Don. It comes down to putting the bread down. Napoli are chasing the Scudetto. They know they've got they're chasing the Scudetto. They know they've got an appreciating asset who has just signed for the football club. They know that the Premier League has money, and the more he keeps playing better, the more his price goes up. And they will have to find such as the scouting. They've probably got the new him before he's even had time to do anything. But they'd have to find players, and it has a knock-on effect. January's a reactive window, so it's up to you, if you want to believe half of these things, people. But yeah, to kind of round up the transfer a bit of this, people. Once again, Arsenal are keeping tabs on Mitoma, allegedly. We're eyeing a move for Declan Rice in the summer. Arsenal are ready to launch 71 million Vlahovic bid. Arsenal are now ready to launch a formal bid for long-standing striker target Vlahovic after missing out on Mudryk. It's not working out at Juventus, and we could offer 71 million, allegedly, for him to leave the San Siro, leave the Turin. We've been told it's 100 million for Rafinha. We've entered the race for Fresnadar, the young right back. Arthur Okonkwo has left Crew and joined Stuttgart in the Austrian Bundesliga on loan. Best of luck to him, Brooke Norton, Coffey, and Miguel Aziz, who have all joined Stuttgart, Wigan, and Coventry, respectively. Once again, Rafinha, BS. And then, yeah, don't feel like there's anything else. So we're just going to have to watch that space. Please make sure you're smashing the like button and all of that good things, people. In fact, no, why have I put my screen back with you lot, please? Not that. Put me back over here. For what it's worth, allegedly, Raheem Sterling, not Chelsea. Oh, it's a solid, innit? But some people would probably say forget about it. Chelsea are already willing to listen to Raheem Sterling transfer offers despite winger only joining last summer. Chelsea are already willing to listen to offers for Raheem Sterling despite the England starter, I think it means, only joining in the summer, it's claimed. They signed him for 50 million. He's 28 years of age. He's going to have to be one of the highest earners at Arsenal. We've worked with him before. I always thought when he left City, he would go abroad. I don't know if that's still a thing. Obviously, you can stay in London and that. We've wanted you since your QPR days. I don't know. Chelsea are still looking to sign Noni Madueke and all these things. He signed a 5-year deal. I don't know if this is just nonsense, but who knows? Apparently, they're willing to let him leave. Would you really want to let a household Premier League player leave for someone that's played 44 times for Shakhtar? I don't know. I'm just providing talking points. For what it's worth, I'd have the conversation, but I wouldn't give Sterling what he wants in terms of wages. I mean, if Chelsea want their 50 million back, they're moving mad. Chelsea willing to listen to Raheem Sterling offers as 250 plus January signing spree lined up. Chelsea will listen to offers for Raheem Sterling after their astonishing Mudryk ambush. Blah, blah, blah. Where's the Raheem Sterling part, people? But it's probably because it ain't been working out. And he signed a 5-year deal with an option of 12 months. So essentially a 6-year deal. But that will not stop the leadership letting him go. He has failed to make an impact expected at the London Giants or London Cowboys. I mean, you're playing him right wing. What do you think is going to happen, people? although he is far from alone in that regards. Again, not a single attacking player is thriving. Sterling has been a key player under Graham Potter and Tommy Tuchel with 14 Premier League starts as well as starts in all 6 of the Champions League group stage games. So it just feels like paper nonsense, really and truly. And it doesn't say there's anything credible. And it doesn't actually say Raheem Sterling wants to keep it moving from Chelsea. So I guess you have to look at these sort of things with a pinch of salt, essentially, folks, really, if I'm completely honest with you. So we'll have to see how that one there develops. Sorry, folks, but I still want to know. Yeah, it all depends where you're going for that, man. They really did go in for that Mudryk guy. Let me see what your comments are saying, people. Skipped out bare of you, man. Would you recall Balogun if you're Arteta? Probably not. This guy's on some weird shit, man. I just can't imagine someone from the MLS saying they don't want to know about a transfer to the Prem regardless of the World Cup. But it doesn't help you. You should, obviously, you leave that to your advisors and you focus on what you need to focus on. K, shout out to you. Rice, if Chelsea want him, will go. We should go for Chelsea's targets. Problem is they don't have any. They just pre-Arsenal. Rice dreaming of Eddie Nketiah's mum's jollof. 70 million for him is steep, though. In today's market, I'd say he's worth that south. But yes, his contract length makes it high. DG, what's your view on cutting Sambi Lokongo's loan and bringing him to the carpet as competition for Eddie Nketiah and Jesus? I'm not sure. Lokongo's not on loan to my knowledge. What about Morata? What about him? Could never be for Arsenal. We've already seen that. We need to be acting. I don't know what you're saying there. Can we please make sure our sentences are making sense? Are you going to sign Rafinha and Rice in January? You're asking the wrong guy, my guy. You're asking the wrong guy. You're asking the wrong guy. Shout out S, big up DG. Why stories coming out about Rice in the summer when we need signings now? Also, don't believe the Rice hype. He's been a lifelong Chelsea supporter. Don't see it. I hear that. I wonder what it feels like to be a player and not see any reinforcements coming to win the league. Do you start to feel a burden mentally? I mean, you just got to keep doing what you're doing. Transfers is not you, but Sunday, if you play Sunday league level, you know if your keeper's not good enough, if you need another striker or something like that. It is what it is. We should go for Jesper Limstrong from Frankfurt. That guy is a baller. He has decent pace, can pick up passes, dribble, can play on the wing and give Odegaard competition, and he can take set pieces. DG, great stream as ever. You have the right to block idiots without an apology. Thank you for your continuous commitment for the fans. Smash the like, people. Culture appreciative. Thank you very much, man. Do you think we will now need to pay more for whatever player we go for, given every club owner and their dog now know we are trying/dying to sign someone to help and secure the Prem for us? Jason, you're going to have to overpay, especially in January. You're going to have to do it. You could argue we overpaid at the time for Ramsdale, for Benjamin White, for a couple of players, but you're going to have to do that. As long as you do that and they fit into the team and fundamentally they play well, I don't think there's a single soul out there who really cares. Ideally, Balogun. I mean, as I said earlier, my guy, I think everything should be available for Balogun. Really, keep just focus on what you need to do for Reams. You owe it to them to focus. Let's see what you're on in preseason, innit? Couple of weeks in preseason. See if Arteta wants to use him because we're doing this youngster thing. It all depends on if we're bringing in a winger or a striker. There's only so many attacking players you could have on the bench. And I think everything should be open for Balogun. Staying at the club, trying to break in and, fight with Eddie Nketiah, and Jesus and everybody else. Maybe going out on loan again, staying at his current club or joining a stronger team, either in France or elsewhere. Or, if Inter and AC Milan rumors are to be believed, if selling him for 30, 40 odd million can be put towards a transfer kitty for us to punch a bit for our targets, then it's a means to an end. DG, which youth footballer impressed you the most and will be a future first team player? In my opinion, Juventus friendly match, I was impressed with Koza Djibri. I see him as a first team player. I don't know about anything. You need a lot of variables, but I think Koza Djibri has a good chance. I think Ethan Nwaneri has a good chance. Miles as well. I think Miles, Ethan, for me, Miles, Ethan, Charlie, if I had to put money to it. Brooke, I think Brooke Norton-Coffey has a great chance. I just think if we bring in another right back and you've got Tomiyasu and Benjamin White, even though he's only 19, it's a myth. And I just feel with what Mikel Arteta demands of his fullbacks, I don't think he's got that in him at this moment in time. Take Alanga for what? Has he got flavours? Of course, I still watch the under-21s. And kind of just alluded to. Everybody looks good, man. I'm not the guy. I'm just someone who follows Arsenal's youth footballers. I'm not the guy to ask on who's going to be the guy or what. No, I don't know anything, man. Appreciate the questions though. Look at the bromance. Shout out you lot, people. So yeah, man, keep your thoughts coming. Again, let's spin the block for some more Arsenal news. Come on, man. Lie to us. Tell us Jude Bellingham's in North London for a medical. It's something to lift the mood. Change that to an hour. Yeah, Kulusevski's told his teammates to pick themselves up for the season. Kulusevski, you're in the wrong shirt, mate. Have you signed permanently? Have you signed permanently for Spurs? Has Kulusevski signed permanently for Spurs? Because that is something audacious I would like to see. You're an Arsenal fan, lad. Apparently, we wanted you last Jan, lad. Pardon me. You're still on loan. How's this obligation thing, bang? He was sent on an 18-month loan to Tottenham. The loan deal was, pardon me, worth 10 million and included an option for purchase, which would become an obligation under certain conditions met for an additional fee of 35 million. In the day and age, Spurs have flunked a lot of money, 45 million from his lit. I mean, if there was some way of bringing Kulusevski at 22, make it happen, innit, really? That's someone that'd be great, but you can't get him now. What do these conditions mean? Arsenal make contact with Bayern Leverkusen over possible transfer for France winger. Arsenal make contact with Bayern Leverkusen over France international winger Moussa Diaby after missing out on Mudryk to Chelsea. Arsenal also keeping tabs on Rafinha, though the Brazilian is unlikely to move in January. Leverkusen do not want to sell the 23-year-old mid-season, having quoted 100 million euros, 88.5 to interested clubs. So yeah, we'll have to see, man. He's got 19 goals since the start of last season, 15 assists, big chances created. He's second in that league with 25. Take-ons, he's second with 169. Attempted through balls, he's fourth with 18. Arsenal clearly want to bolster their front line this January, and the position where they need the most attention is the right wing. Well, yeah, left wing's a bit more open season, but any winger that can't, you can have your favorite position, but if you can't play on the left or the right, I don't want you. Competition and backup are needed for Saka, who was overused last season as Arsenal dropped out of the Champions League places at the end of the season. This season, again, he has barely been given a rest by Mikel Arteta, as there's not much behind him in terms of cover. Fabio Vieira could play in that right wing role, but is predominantly a central player, while teenage winger Marquinhos has only been trusted with 1 minute of Premier League football all season and has started just one game since the middle of October. Had we have got Mudryk or a winger in, that guy needs to go on loan. The RB shares plenty of characteristics with Saka, which makes many feel like that this interest in the Bayern Leverkusen winger is to help support the England attacker. Two-footed, I'm not sure, but the two-footed Frenchman has the most chances created via carrying the ball with 29 in the Bundesliga this season, while his simpler statistics are promising as well. Only Bayern Munich's Thomas Muller has more assists and big chances created in Germany's top flight since the start of last season. Then Diaby is certainly good company. As great as Muller is, he's a pensioner, so what's going on there? Moussa Diaby is an electric player who provides a lot of pace. Key passes is one of his better traits, along with carrying the ball, but he predominantly plays on the right-hand side. Looking at his stats, he has scored 6 goals in 14 from playing on the right, but when he's played anywhere else, he only has 1 from 10. That tells me that his best position is on the right-hand side, and Saka is the player in that position. He's Arsenal's number one man. If Arsenal signs someone like the RB, he may not be playing in that position, so would you be getting the best out of him? And this is where you've got to take him to the next level. Arsenal were looking at Mudryk, who plays on the left predominantly. We were talking about Ferran Torres or Rafinha. I think someone like Torres fits the bill better for Arsenal because he can play across all that front three. That's what they need. I mean, did he not move back to Barcelona? Well, move to Barcelona and move to Spain because he was homesick. Spurs signed Richarlison. Has he scored a Prem goal for them yet? Because he can play in all 3 positions. Not play them very well. Maybe he won't play every week, but he can play in any of those positions when any of the front 3 is missing. That's what Arsenal need. I agree with that. Arsenal thought to be keeping an eye on Rafinha's situation at Barcelona. Who really cares? We know we've been tracking Rafinha. We know we tried to sign him in the summer. It did not bang. So there's no point needing any added on talk, really and truly, where he is concerned, if I'm completely honest with you. Like, it is what it is at this point. Shout out to you lot tuned in, folks. Let's get Vlahovic. He's a different profile to Gabriel's this 9, and he'll bang from the goal, not like Ferran or Memphis. They're too similar to our 9. Do you think we'll get reinforcements for this window? Surely you give Arteta the best chance to win the league, or fans will never forgive the owners if we choke this because of injuries. I hope so, man. DG, who had the better left foot, Van Persie or Robin, because of the dribbling thing. The RB's a baller. then we'll get Rice in the summer. I hope so. Subscribe for free if you're on Amazon Prime, people. If you're following via Twitch, and for extra content, follow on Twitch, people. So honestly, who knows? 152 likes. Can we get to 200, man? DG, after the Mudryk deal, I'm lost. Are we getting anyone in this transfer window? It seems like a no. It's not over to the fat lady sings, but she's in her Uber on her way to the venue, isn't it? Really, with it being, the 17th of January, boy, who knows? Transfers can progress pretty quickly. So let's just keep a cool head, hope for the best, but prepare for the worst, and that we don't, and then we can praise or critique the club where need be. So honestly, I hope so, but who knows, man? Who knows? Let's see if there's any other news. Let's see what we can wrestle up. Hey, Arsenal brought back the bench cam, to be fair with you. What are you saying? It's really just the same old nonsense, really, people. But, I'm going to just browse through for you lot. I mean, where there's a will, there's a way and all. That's interesting. 100 million for Declan. Mazzolini. Absolute Mazzo. That don't look like nothing of no. Let me see this one. Smash the like button, people, if you haven't already. And yeah, I wouldn't exactly call these things news. Obviously, I'm just getting the tabs together for you lot, people. All depends how you look at this, really, really and truly, people. If I share my screen with you lot again, or better yet, the window, there we go. Matt Smith needs to keep it moving. It's not going to happen for you at Arsenal. Arsenal are ready to accept Matt Smith offer as Stoke City, QPR and Swansea lead the chase. 22 years of age, probably been here from 8-9 years of age. I understand why you're reluctant. You probably, being an Arsenal player is completely different to playing for Swansea, QPR and Stoke, but you need to get real now. You're 22. You're never going to play for Arsenal like that. You have little to no chance. We don't have any midfielders. You've been on the bench bare times, not played. Young Ethan's got more minutes in the Prem than you. It's time to get real. Apparently there's a championship trio looking at him, and there's several European clubs looking to sign the 22-year-old. So shout out to you, man. You're officially part of Arsenal's first team per se, even though you're 22, playing for the under-21s. You've been out on loan, go and get some football. For Arsenal, it means we can get some money in, and it means Hayland is doing its job, people. So yeah, he needs to keep it moving. He has 49 appearances for the club, with 41 of those coming as starts. Again, this is in relation to his loans. He's been at Doncaster, Swindon, Charlton. Go out and play football, man. You're not going to brush through. There's a willingness in Arsenal to improve the squad this month, and they will try to continue, says Charles Watts. Where no doubt you've got an article. Again, it's essentially guesswork from everybody. No Mudryk, no panic. Are we going to see anything new here? I'm not in the mood for think pieces. Edu had a number in mind, and it became clearer that the number would not be enough to seal the deal and they would bow out. That's exactly what happened. Arsenal were left with a simple decision to make when Chelsea arrived at the last minute with a more attractive proposal in terms of add-ons. The Gunners still knew that Mudryk wanted to join. They knew that if the player had a choice, he would favour a move to North London rather than the South, but he's gone to the South. It's up to them then to match Chelsea's overall offer and meet Shakhtar's demands. They decided that it wasn't going to happen, so they walked away, feeling what they had offered was fair and a strong bid for such an inexperienced player with no Premier League experience and only 44 appearances for his club. Fair enough. On this occasion, Arsenal felt the numbers involved meant the deal was not right for the club. And as frustrating as it was to miss out on a priority target, the Gunners now have a strict way of operating in the transfer market. We know this. We all know Edu Arteta and Richard Garlick and the board have carefully mapped out a plan that has served them well in recent times. And we know they won't deviate from it, people. Apparently we'll continue to try to improve. I mean, that's great. But there shouldn't be a sense of panic. There's time to actually, when there's every reason to panic, which there probably is, this is when we need to be the calmest and make things happen. So didn't really learn nothing there. Did we really? Apparently Okonku's loan to SK Studgrass is to be extended to 23-24 according to their director of football. That's great. because you've got no chance of breaking into the first team currently. Arsenal have made initial contact with Bayern Leverkusen over Moussa Diaby. Leverkusen do not want to sell mid-season. Leverkusen were quoting 100 million euros to interested clubs in the summer, people. Arsenal's priority for this window is a winger and a striker. They still retain interest in Telemans, but player wants a summer move. Rice will also move in the summer, but next club not known. Is this behind the paywall? On Milinkovic-Savic, I think Milinkovic-Savic will stay at Lazio until the end of the season. Newcastle's priority is Leicester's James Maddison. They really love him, but it won't be possible to sign him in January. I think they'll attack the Maddison situation again in the summer. Lazio want to extend Milinkovic-Savic's contract, so it'll be very difficult to sign him, but he's a very good player in my opinion. He is very underestimated. I mean, that don't say anything there. On Telemans and Declan Rice and Yuri Telemans, which is of relevance to us, I don't think Rice will make a move in January. He'll stay at West Ham because they are in a very difficult situation at the moment and they need him for the rest of the season. He'll probably change in the summer. Arsenal have always wanted Telemans at the club and they still want him, but Telemans does not want to move in January. His contract expires in the summer and he wants to move on a free transfer. Arsenal are currently focused on signing a winger and a striker. They're not concentrating on a midfielder at the moment, but of course that can change in the last few days if the right player gets a chance. Okay. On Leandro Trossard, sorry. Arsenal could also be interested after the situation with Mudryk, and I think the next few days will be crucial for Arsenal, and they have to decide what they want. So Arsenal is possibly for Trossard, but I think Spurs